Hey, can you hear me? Hey, it's Debbie Levitt. Welcome, low ego action heroes, to episode 63 of the Delta CX podcast. It's August 5th, 2020, and we are live. I'm your friend Debbie Levitt, and this one's going to be a little step away from our usual hard-hitting journalism. Today, we are going to go back in time, and we're going to take a look at a 2004 study that took a look at what do they think the future of the internet will be back in 2004, published in 2005, and they were trying to predict what the internet would be like by 2014. Well, obviously 2014 has come and gone, so it's interesting to take a look at what people predicted at the time. Now, first, let me give you some context, and let's remember that in 2004, no Facebook, no Twitter. Hi, Rajesh. No smartphones, really, unless you had some of the really early, like Palm Trio or some of those. But smartphones weren't, maybe a BlackBerry? Smartphones didn't have huge adoption. MySpace was a year and a half old when this study was done. Some of us were using LiveJournal. So again, try to put yourself in the shoes of 2004's internet, where probably you still had a lot of people dialing up. And we're going to take a look at what these people thought. Now, this is from Pew Internet, and evidently they still exist, PEW. And so nothing bad to say about them. We're just going to take a look at this study that they did. Now, the study, from what I understand of it, because this is a huge book and I haven't read all of it, we're going to read through some of it together. They started with a survey in September 2004, a 24-question survey about the future of the internet. They sent it to who they felt were internet experts and asked those people to forward the survey to people they felt were internet experts or pioneers or highly knowledgeable of some sort. So it should be a survey of somewhat internet experts in 2004. Hi, Takisi. And it says 1,286 people responded. So that's what we're dealing with. We're dealing mostly with a survey. Obviously, if you've seen episode 51 here, we know surveys are only as good as the questions you write and how you write them and who answers them. So there's some funky stuff in here, but there's some really interesting stuff in here. So we're going to take a look at some of the results from this survey. And for example, they gave people a prediction, and they asked, do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you challenge the prediction? Though nowhere in the document do they explain what challenging a prediction means. And then some people didn't even respond to the question. I don't even know why we allow a survey that's this important, that we allow people to not pick something. If we're asking experts to make a prediction, I would really want them to have to answer the question and take a stand. Take a stand for something, against something. You're supposed to be predicting what's coming. So I don't love that there's a lot of people here who didn't answer a lot of questions. So, for example, I'm reading some of the survey overview page. 59% of these experts agreed with a prediction that more government and business surveillance will occur as computing devices proliferate and become embedded in appliances, cars, phones, and even clothes. Well, some of that has certainly happened. Some of that has not exactly happened, but it's interesting to see that that was even a prediction that they were asking people to agree or disagree with. 57% agreed that virtual classes will become more widespread in formal education, and that students might at least occasionally be grouped with others who share their interests and skills rather than grouping people by age. Cool. 56% agreed that telecommuting and homeschooling will expand. So telecommuting was the old remote work, for those of you old enough to remember some of what remote work used to be called. The boundary between work and leisure will diminish, and family dynamics will change because of that. Is that true for you? Tell me about you. Like, did that happen for you? As you used more internet, do you feel like your family dynamic changed? 50% believed that an anonymous free music file sharing on peer-to-peer networks will be easy to do. So there's a lot of interesting things here, and I want to go through some of them. And there's also some open comments that people gave to the survey, and they have some summaries of them that I also want to read to you. I love this. Government will be forced to become increasingly transparent, accessible over the net, and almost impenetrable if you're not on the net. Do you feel like that's come true? Yikes. Government being increasingly transparent. I don't know if I would agree that that has happened, but then again, the whole world is being televised right now and shared on phones. Has that increased transparency or just knowledge and awareness? What do you think? We're live. Write your comments in the YouTube chat or the LinkedIn chat. I'd love to see what people think of these things as I read them out. Let's see. They said TiVo will kill commercial television. Well, TiVo ultimately didn't succeed, but streaming certainly appears to have been. Let's see. The net will wear away institutions that have forgotten how to sound human and how to engage in conversation. That's a real CX moment. What do you think of that? I want everybody's responses and thoughts to these things as I read them. Again, this is a kind of a survey from 2004 of what the future of the internet will be. I wanted to really jump ahead to some of the things that they asked people to agree or disagree with. So here we go. Here's a couple of things that they asked people in the next decade. So they were asked this in 2004 about what we'll see through 2014. And do you agree or disagree with these statements? 66% of survey respondents agreed that at least one devastating attack will occur in the next 10 years on the internet or the power grid. Did that happen? I don't remember, at least that we were told about. I thought there was a power grid attack in America, but that was 2003 before this. Can anybody think of, I mean, obviously we have hackings and stuff all the time, but like a giant coordinated attack on the internet itself and or a country's power grid. Did I miss that? I don't read the news a lot. It's depressing. Tell me if I missed that one. Let's see. Here's another one. 59% agreed that as computing devices become embedded in everything from clothes to appliances to cars to phones, these networked devices will allow greater surveillance by governments and businesses. By 2014, there will be increasing numbers of arrests based on this kind of surveillance by democratic governments as well as by authoritarian regimes. Anybody want to comment on that? That's a hot one. 59% agreed with that. 15% disagreed with that. I feel like there's more surveillance, and again, this is just my opinion. Paul says power grid attack in the Ukraine. Okay, again, I don't read the news, so I don't know. So thank you to Paul, and glad to see you here. 57% agreed with this statement. Enabled by information technologies, the pace of learning in the next decade will increasingly be set by student choices. In 10 years, 2014, most students will spend at least part of their school days in virtual classes, grouped online with others who share their interests, mastery, and skills. 57% agreed, 18% said not gonna happen. What do you think? What do you think about how education has changed through the internet, especially, wow, think about 2014. I mean, even in 2014, gosh, 6 years ago, seems so long ago, doesn't it? Here's another one. There's a whole list of them. I think they're all very interesting. I want to read through them. 56% agreed that by 2014, as telework, also known as remote working, and homeschooling expand, the boundaries between work and leisure will diminish significantly. This will sharply alter everyday family dynamics. Is that true for you? Has more internet time or remote working changed your family's dynamic? A lot of people agreed with that one, but wait till you hear the ones they mostly disagreed with. They're ordered on this page by how much people agreed with the statement. So when I get to the bottom of the page, you'll hear some predictions people mostly disagreed with. 54% agreed that pervasive high-speed information networks will usher in an age of creativity in which people use the internet to collaborate with others and take advantage of digital libraries to make more music, art, and literature. A large body of independently produced creative works will be freely circulated online and will command widespread attention from the public. I think the winners of the prediction are the people who wrote the survey. The people who wrote the survey did a really great job envisioning some of the directions that the internet would go in. Adrian says, distance learning and to some extent home working was not really taken seriously until COVID-19 drove it. I would have to agree. There are some people even now who are pushing against it. So all these people who thought that by 2014 it would be much more commonplace still hasn't really happened. 53% of the survey respondents, again this is in 2014, agreed that by 2014 all media, including audio, video, print, and voice, will stream in and out of the home or office via the internet. Computers that coordinate and control video games, audio, and video will become the centerpiece of the living room and will link to network devices around the household, replacing the television's central place in the home. Isn't this really interesting? You have to remember, this is a time when you didn't have a smartphone. You probably didn't even have a Bluetooth headset. You didn't have Facebook. And this is what they were predicting from 2014 to from 2004 to 2014. Takisi says homeschool expand, but more because of the pandemic. Right. I can see that. Paul says creativity. If selfies are creative, we live in a stew of morbid self-absorption. I'm going to get there. They do predict some interesting things about what I will call fringe groups. So let's keep going. So remember, this is an order of how much survey respondents agreed with the prediction. And again, super snaps to the people who wrote the survey because some of these predictions are really quite interesting. 52% agreed that by 2014, 90% of all Americans will go online from home via high-speed networks that are dramatically faster than today's high-speed networks. 90% of Americans. Do we have that much adoption now? And I guess cell phone data would be considered high speed compared to 2004. So maybe this has come true. Pushpendra says smartphone and increasing internet speed in developing countries. Yeah, that's a good question. It sounds like this survey was mostly America-centric. So I don't know if they were considering developing countries. Good point. 50% of survey respondents agreed that, and by the way, when I say 50% agreed, it doesn't mean 50% disagreed. Very often the rest of the numbers are weird. Like this one's 50% agreed, 23% disagreed, 10% challenged the prediction, which I don't know what that means. This doesn't say, and 17% didn't answer the question. Surveys, wah, wah. So 50% agreed that in 2014, it will still be the case that the vast majority of internet users will easily be able to copy and distribute digital products freely through anonymous peer-to-peer networks. I guess so. I'm not really hanging out on Where's sites, but certainly there are people who do. So now let's get to some of the ones. Now we're under the 50% agreement line. So here's where 48% agreed, 22% disagreed, and then some didn't answer the question. They call this one extreme communities. Groups of zealots in politics, in religion, and in groups advocating violence will solidify, and their numbers will increase by 2014 as tight personal networks flourish online. So again, they were predicting what they're calling extreme communities and that's how people would use some of their personal networking. I would say that's definitely come true. Again, what do you guys think? I'm open. I want to hear your responses to these things for the people joining us live. Here's another. There's about 5 more on this page, and then there's more in here I want to read you. Here's one. 42% agreed. 29% disagreed. Civic involvement will increase substantially in the next 10 years thanks to an ever-growing use of the internet. That would include membership in groups of all kinds, including professional, social, sports, political, and religious organizations, and perhaps even bowling leagues. Civic involvement by 2014. I guess so. There were lots of online communities and growth of all kinds of online community platforms and discussion forums. I think so. Paul says extreme communities was an easy call. Yeah, there's another one coming that is also quite interesting. Here's another one where now we're starting to see the numbers between people who agreed and disagreed be really quite close. For the next one, 39% agreed, 30% disagreed. In 10 years, so in 2014, the increasing use of online medical resources will yield substantial improvement in many of the pervasive problems now facing healthcare, including rising healthcare costs, poor customer service, the high prevalence of medical mistakes, malpractice concerns, and lack of access to medical care for many Americans. I don't know about that as of 2014, and even as of now, I think this is a little questionable. So it's interesting how many people disagreed with that. 39% agreed, 30% disagreed. Again, what do you guys think of these things? Were these true by 2014, or are they even true now? And then I want to ask you your predictions for the next 10 years on the internet. So throw your comments in the chat. I'm watching YouTube, and I'm also watching LinkedIn for those of you joining us. Okay, a few more here. Oh. But first, we do not have a sponsor here on the program. So I would just like to take a moment to run a quick 10-second video about my company. Oop, wrong button.
Delta CX, available for CX and UX consulting, projects, and training. Contact us for a free consultation.
There you go, painless. And I also want to remind people that please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Delta CX, and hit the bell button so that you're notified whenever I go live, because I do go live 3 or 4 times a week with all kinds of interesting office hours and podcasts. And of course, you can join our Slack workspace. It's totally free. I and others are there to help. deltacx.link/join Slack. And again, please subscribe. It's the best way to show that you support me. And if you love these videos, press the like button over on YouTube so that YouTube knows it's a good video to show other people. Oops, wrong
Thanks for
button.
watching.
Not thanks for watching. I've done it. I hit the wrong button. Not thanks for watching. The button I should have hit slid out the thing. This is my little console. I get to press all these buttons and cool things happen while I'm talking to you. For example, sad, I hit the wrong button. I'm still working on my remote console. Paul Edwards says, healthcare, wrong. I know, cry, sad. They really had some hopes that healthcare was going to be improved by 2014, but there was a lot of skepticism even in the survey. For the next one, 39% agreed and 20% disagreed. By 2014, use of the internet will increase the size of people's social networks far beyond what has traditionally been the case. This will enhance trust in society, as people have a wider range of sources from which to discover and verify information about job opportunities, personal services, common interests, and products. Was that true by 2014? Is that true now? What do you think? I've got some viewers on YouTube who are being very quiet today, some viewers on LinkedIn who are being more vocal. 39 agreed, 20% disagreed. I think that's a double-edged sword. I'm not sure we've enhanced trust in society through social networks. Yes and no. You know, we haven't. Paul Edwards says wrong. I think we haven't. There are certainly areas where we have. Many of you, we met each other on LinkedIn or YouTube. That's a thing. But then there's certainly a lot of ugliness and distrust. So I can see this both sides. All right, two more. Here's one of my favorites. Oh, the next two, unbelievable. Unbelievable. Okay, remember, this is a prediction in 2004 for what would happen by 2014. For the next one, I'm going to read you 32% agreed, but 37% disagreed. So this was a little bit more in this survey. People thought this was unlikely to happen. By 2014, most people will use the internet in a way that filters out information that challenges their viewpoints on political and social issues. This will further polarize political discourse and make it difficult or impossible to develop meaningful consensus on public problems. I'm just going to sit and blink at the screen a little bit. That's an amazing prediction for someone to have come up with in 2014 to even ask people if they agree or disagree with that. And the majority, 37% disagreed and 32% agreed. And a bunch of people didn't answer it. That people will use the internet to filter out information that challenges their viewpoints on political and social issues, further polarizing political discourse. And the experts thought that that was more unlikely than likely. Maybe by 2014 it wasn't totally happening, but so yeah, Paul says correct. Certainly by now, certainly by 2015 or 16, I think we were seeing that quite strongly, certainly in America, but some of you are not in America. Tell me about your experience where you live. When do you think the internet started really strongly dividing people politically and that people were using it to filter out opposing viewpoints and things they just didn't want to hear? I would give that 2015, maybe 2014. Paul, what do you think? And one more before I read you some of the other stuff. This is another one where more people disagreed than agreed. So 35% thought this was not likely to happen. 32% thought it was likely to happen. So really almost the same. And then a bunch of people didn't answer it. Hold on to your hats for this. And again, I think they're thinking, this is America focused. By 2014, network security concerns will be solved, and more than half of American votes will be cast online, resulting in increased voter turnout. That one almost hurts, doesn't it? Those of you who are in America, from America, or follow American politics, it was kind of split there. About 32% thought that would happen. 35% thought by 2014 that would not happen. And here we are in 2020, and that is not even close. Paul says he would say that filtering likely started as far back as 2014. So, yeah. Some of these experts were pretty good with these estimates, and some of them were not. I want to try to find some of the open answers, things that people just wrote in some of their open-ended text. So here's one expert writing. The most obvious effects on news media are the rise of web blogs. Remember web blogs, everybody? Supplanting the public's attention to traditional news media and the slow death of newspapers due to erosion of mind share by online influences such as news websites, chat rooms, message boards, and online gaming. These are really amazing things if you imagine people are saying these in late 2004. Wow. Paul says, trusting paper will always be a thing in America. Always. The paper vote. I actually vote by PDF. I vote by email PDF as an expat registered in Arizona. And Arizona is a red state, and they still figured out email voting. Let's see. Okay, that one wasn't that interesting. I've got a few more that I want to read at you guys. Oz says, wow, that's fascinating. Yeah, Oz, you should hear some of the other ones we went through. Here's another prediction someone had in 2004 about what life would be like by 2014 on the internet. The impact of education, the impact on education will be substantial. For the pre-18s, as in 18-year-old, Distance learning and self-paced learning will raise standards and increase diversity. For the post-18s, lifelong learning delivered through competency-based training will address skills shortages and have knock-on effects in addressing social issues. I don't know how you guys take that one, but thanks, Oz. Oh, you're editing your video. Good morning. Paul says newspapers died at a more precipitous rate than some expected. Yeah, it sounds like somebody thought in 2004 that the rise of online learning would level the playing field and improve diversity and some of the social inequalities. That's a beautiful dream, but it still hasn't happened. Let's see. I love this one. One expert wrote, "I believe the next large impact of the internet will be in the area of work and organizations. We still work in an industrial era mode of communications. While there will always be a need for physical presence and proximity, advanced information and communications technology will create a newer form of decentralized organization that will continue to change the nature of work." We are still struggling with that. Elijah's here. Ouch, these predictions are painful. Yeah, see, if you're coming in just now, there were some earlier ones that were really quite cool, that they had really foreseen where things were going, and other ones that are a little cringy, that the 2004 version of Internet Experts dreamed a much better future than we ended up with. I don't know. Elijah, did you hear where we're all half of us are going to vote online by 2014? Ouch, ouch. Let's see if I can find another one. Yeah, I already read you the quote that said, "Government will be forced to become increasingly transparent." Yes and no. Let's see. Let me look at what else. The area that will change the most, so this is another expert, the area that will change the most will be arts and entertainment. The ability to receive real-time music and video over the internet or download content will radically transform business models for TV and movies as it is already doing for music. It will also continue to change the relation of the public to artists as it has through fan sites, remixes, and other internet-based phenomena. I think that one was pretty true. What do you guys think? Let's see. Let's take a look at some more of these. Okay, somebody wrote, in the category of international relations, somebody wrote, oh no. I just read the last sentence and I'm like, oops, that didn't happen. After spending 3 months in rural Southeast Asia this year, I think the most interesting developments that will come from the internet will be from developing nations. We will see this in every category, from virus writing to online gaming to offshore tech support and coding. I think the internet will become increasingly less English language centric. I feel like it's become more English language centric. But what do you guys think? Some of you who don't live in America, what do you think? Do you feel like the internet has made things more English centric or less? Elijah says, I have to go back and see, but it's really sad we haven't made much progress in those areas. And that one's accurate, even against the big media companies wanting otherwise. Here's an expert saying, the military will continue to develop internet-related technologies, mostly those of surveillance, except they may call them homeland security or privacy protection. Somebody said that in 2004, peeps. Wow. Get that person a lobster dinner. That's pretty hot. What do you guys think of that? Wow. They even went as far as to figure out how it was going to be named and worked into things so you're not upset about it. Woo! Let's see. Okay, this is a good one. I mean, it's pretty obvious, but this is a good... And you have to remember, it's 2004. we were all still T8 texting, I think, for the most part. So this is a nice one. The context for family interactions has already changed dramatically. The ease with which children and grandparents can communicate, the ability to message instantly will change the nature of our interfamily relations and thereby will change the dynamics of our personal lives. Guys, you ever watch an old movie and they're like, I just can't get cell service here, and then like they're killed, or like, oh my god, I have to hurry up and find a phone booth. How many 70s and 80s movies relied on, can someone find a phone booth in time to call someone, and will that person be there to answer the phone? And now you couldn't write a movie about that. Paul Edwards says, here's a prediction. At one point, the world will arrive at the conclusion they've been entertained enough and will begin to look inward, as if to say, with all this technology, this is all I am? Another frickin' Netflix movie? Another Facebook post about what grandma had for breakfast? This is it? Well, Paul, we can always hope that people will be more introspective, but I'm not sure we're quite on an introspective trend right now. Takisi says, I am from France. It's more English-centric. Interesting. So the person who predicted less English-centric, I also think they are wrong. So let's see. Looking for a couple of good ones. Let's see. Some of these are boring. They just are. I read this one already about the changes coming to the workplace. And then, of course, there's some people who said things like, nearly everything will change because of the internet. And I'm like, yeah, thank you. If you're Italian, I would say grazie al cazzo. I think you say that. Oz says, but has it been the military that's developed the technology, or has the government attached themselves onto the surveillance tactics of Google, Facebook, and Amazon? Oz, since I know some people who work in developing military intelligence, I'm going to say both. Yeah, everything will change because of the internet. Thank you, Sherlock. All right, let's see. What else do you guys think? I liked this one. Okay. This was, the person who said this quote says, Bob Metcalf. He invented Ethernet, and he founded 3Com. Remember 3Com? Do they still exist? He said, governments will tend toward democracy. Transportation will be refined through massive substitution of communication. The current flight toward cities will be reversed. The internet won't be in schools, it will replace schools. Television channels will be replaced by video blogs, and Dan Rather will be dragged off the set. What do you think of that one? Oh, gotta go. Bye, Paul. Well, I'm staying. Paul's going. What do you guys think of that? There's a lot in there. Considering I'm live streaming this to you, I think he's partially right. Was that true by 2014? I don't know. Were people live streaming on YouTube in 2014? I never have a good sense of time and when all of this started. When were people doing live streams? I mean, I know people have done live webinars, but like live YouTube streams? Let's see. I'm looking for a couple of other good quotes. Communication. We're all going to do voice over IP. Let's see. Here's an interesting one that's a little bit connected to our CX and UX world. Oh, Steele. Oh, hi, Steele. Good to see you again. Oz says, Paul is asking something answered by Neil Postman in Amusing Ourselves to Death. He describes Brave New World and how it's too fun to watch TV and ignore the decline of civility, which is out there right now. Let's see. Here is someone who at the time was the Secretary General of the European Information Society Group. Not Information Society, the band. Okay, this person said, it will take several years for the players to get their act together and re-engineer mass market access products and services for reliable and safe use by ordinary human beings. It will then take several more years to overcome the growing backlash. Radical change will therefore only begin to happen towards the end of the decade. So he's talking about the ends of the 2010s. It need not be that way, but the current state of denial is that it looks that way. P.S. One of my uncles had a mobile office in the early 1950s, and I was using non-internet email in 1977. The pace of change has been greatly exaggerated. Whew. Elijah says, partially right about transportation somewhat. Live streams were indeed getting popular in 2014. I remember when Twitch got big around then. Yeah, I'm not a Twitch person, so I didn't know. I need you guys to tell me this. Here's an interesting one, and it's anonymous, and you guys tell me what you think. So again, this is 2004 predicting 2014. The internet won't change most institutions and human endeavors too much because it's increasingly a cesspool of spam, porn, phishing, and other distracting and annoying commodities, discouraging more intensive and productive use. I think Oz went back in time and wrote that. What do you guys think of that? LinkedIn, anybody there? What do you think? See, here's another one. The largest impact will be negative. Terrorist groups will figure out how to use and disable the internet with grim consequences. Interesting. Let's see. Page 11. Okay. Okay, let's see. Here's another one. Quote, although we have begun to overcome some of the trust issues concerning transactions on the internet, we're not there yet relative to social interactions. That will take more time. The internet has not replaced the handshake. What do you think? I don't know. I think I disagree. I think by 2014 we were willing to make internet friends and connect with people that we didn't otherwise meet. Someone else wrote, trusting the seller on eBay creates a particular bond in a particular context, but won't necessarily extend to other areas of trust, particularly between institutions and individuals. Here is an attorney who specialized in e-commerce and intellectual property back in 2004 said, you'll get more information, but much of it will be contradictory. Ooh, I think that's quite true. Even in 2014, we have to put ourselves in 2014 mindset. Ooh, here's an interesting one. The key will be, this is someone else, the key will be, this is a columnist for Washington Post at the time, said in 2004, the key will be for the internet to embrace geography considerably more than it has thus far. More friendsters and less freepers. Can anyone tell me what freeper is or was? I remember Friendster. I mean, Facebook ended up, I think, ripping off Friendster. More Craigslist and less eBay. The internet could be a tool for people to connect within their geographic communities, not withdraw from their geographic communities into a virtual space where the horizons are vastly narrower. I don't know. Elijah says they were wrong with not establishing trust in the internet. Online shopping was popular even in 2014. I think so. Someone said they will have access to more of their direct and indirect contacts and greater ability to find out who knows what, who knows who, and who knows what. That's a good quote. All right. Oh, yeah. Okay, this page reminds us that the September 11th, 2001 attacks were not that far in the past when this was being researched in 2004. Whew, okay. Let's see. Here people are trying to debate whether or not devastating internet outages will end up costing people's lives. Takeezy says, internet has replaced the handshake. I agree. Okay. These are people fighting each other. What page am I on? Digital products. Okay. I'm sorry, I'm looking for the nuggets. I'm looking for anything good. Sorry that not all of this is good. Okay. Meanwhile, guys, tell me your predictions. What's your prediction about what could be coming in the next 10 years for the internet? Ooh, I like this one because I think this is still true. Okay, 2004, someone wrote, so much of online group involvement is passive. Look at things like listservs. I know you guys might not remember listservs. That was the old email mailing list. Such a small proportion of members do anything. That's not involvement. Will we be members of more groups? Sure, but that's not social involvement. I think they're talking about slacktivism, one of my favorite recent words. Well, it's not that recent. 5 or so years. Elijah says, it's hard to separate what I want to happen from what I think will happen, but here goes. Okay, we're going to get some predictions from Elijah. Okay, one expert said it goes far beyond arresting people. So now we're talking about governments, surveillance, and things like that. So that's the page I'm on right now. And someone said it goes far beyond arresting people. This will be a method of social control in more subtle ways too. The risk of being seen as different will grow. And children will grow up with the knowledge that their every move is being watched. This is a recipe for killing the kind of independent thinking that creates innovation, vibrant political debate, and a free society in general. What do you guys think of that? Too bad Paul's not here. I think he would be on fire with that one. Ooh, the next one hurts. All right. The next quote is from a law professor with the Center for Democracy and Technology. And in 2004, she said, it seems to me that most of this surveillance will be private in nature, and that private firms will be unwilling to make their databases widely available. I agree there will be lots of surveillance, but I don't see it being turned over to government authorities. Instead, it will be used to market to us in even more personalized ways. She's wrong and right at the same time. What do you guys think? Someone wrote, I would elaborate, but someone might be watching. That's the winning quote. Very well done. All right, let's see. Now I'm on the education page. Let's see if there's any good educational quotes here. One person said, only the wealthier school districts and private schools, I guess, will use more technology. The numerous school systems that can't afford enough computers or adequate internet access will fall farther and farther behind. I think we've learned that is unfortunately very true. Oh, this one would have been a great prediction until COVID. Someone wrote, Harvard and other major universities are not likely to go virtual. In fact, being on campus will become a thing of status. Online learning and virtual learning will allow more individuals to go to college, but it will take decades, if not centuries, for online learning to gain the same status as classroom learning. I see enhanced classrooms and dorm rooms, but not a radical change in how learning occurs. I think that could have been true until this year. Elijah says, in 10 years, I think AR will be almost as popular as smartphones are now. Smart glasses will probably not as popular, but it will be decently used. Use cases for AR will be centered around utilizing filters for discovery, whether that's entertainment, gaming, ads, or education. I like that. Boo. Here's a computer science pioneer who said, if people are taught to hang out only with those of like interests, mastery, and skills, they will become less tolerant of diversity and more medieval. Boing. Wow, some of these are neat. What do you guys think? Oh, democratic processes. Yeah, I love that quote. I read to you guys at the beginning that they thought by 2014, more than half of Americans will cast their votes online. Ouch. A professor at New York University Interactive Telecommunications Program, which probably doesn't exist anymore, wrote, I think people will begin to devalue voting if they don't go and do it somewhere. So increased access may lead to decreased participation. So it looks like this person thought that if we did start voting online, fewer people would vote online because they want to go and do it in a place. I don't think that has come true. Let's see. Woo! Oh boy, this one's a little bit tough. Okay. A senior advisor for the FCC wrote, talking about facilitating advanced form of votings if states and municipalities are willing to try them, but the U.S. has been resistant to systems such as proportional representation because that would be too democratic. Someone else wrote, if so, I guess this means if we're voting online, America will have ceased to be a democracy. The problem is not merely network security or even equipment security, but that without a secret ballot, monitored by representatives of the candidates and or independent observers, there's no reliable way of preventing coercion, even if there were ways of preventing impersonation. Voting is a social, not a mechanistic activity. I don't think I agree with that person. What do you think? Takisi says, gotta go. Thank you. Topic was interesting. Thank you. I know this is not my usual hard-hitting journalism, but I found this and I thought it was too interesting to ignore. Some of these are just a little bit ouch. Like, oh, we don't have flying cars yet. Oh. Let's see, this is families. Some quotes that people had about family dynamics. Let's see if any of these are that good. Oh, I think we're learning this one this year. So let's see. A public broadcasting person said, whoever suggested that homeschooling would increase because of the internet has never stayed at home with a child. The Venn diagram of telework, remember that's remote working, the Venn diagram of telework and homeschooling shows two circles entirely without connection. I think that's what we saw this year from a lot of parents who some had trouble juggling, doing their jobs from home and trying to be homeschool teachers. Elijah says in 2030, VR will be like where desktops are today, where many people have access to immersive VR but may not use it as much as their mobile AR. Wearables will be more comprehensive. Space industry will finally be taking off, where everyone might know someone who works in orbit. Oh, wow. Elijah says, I think we will have to really reconsider how things like voting, privacy, education, and healthcare work. If it gets worse or stays the same, we'll be screwed. We'll be forced to change. I keep hoping we'll be forced to change, but where's the change? Let's see. Let's find a couple of we got a few more minutes. Here's the section on extreme communities, and I think there's some interesting quotes here. Again, this was about, so the original prediction about extreme communities was groups of zealots in politics, religion, and in groups advocating violence will solidify, and their numbers will increase by 2014 as tight personal networks flourish online. 48% agreed, 22% disagreed. Here's a couple of quotes. One person said, the internet is a medium, not a motivator. It is possible, however, that the relative anonymity of the internet will allow people to voice notions that would not be tolerated in polite arm's-reach society. Thus, more vitriol could be expressed without fear of social opprobrium. Hands up who has recently used the word opprobrium. Normally expected when meeting with others face-to-face. In this sense, the internet is like graffiti, only it can be targeted to the right niche. Someone else said the jury is still out on how much the net fragments people into little communities of people who completely agree with themselves. Oh, Fred. Here's someone who said the number of zealots will not increase, but the number of extreme groups will. I think you just undid yourself, sir. Let's see. This person says, there will be groups of zealots advocating violence, but also groups of zealots advocating peace and nonviolent activism. Elijah says, happening very slowly. Folks are definitely trying. There's a lot of momentum against change, and look out for cancel culture. Someone else said, I believe that personal networks will allow some undesirable groups to enhance communications among themselves and perhaps to even broaden their recruitment efforts. However, I also believe that enhanced communications and access to information is on the evolutionary path to freedom. Oh boy. It's a little bit, I get that wins the Stars in the Eyes award. Oh, I hit confetti by mistake. Stars in the Eyes award. I don't know, people. I think you missed the boat on that one. Oh, boy. I think this guy missed the boat on this one, too. Okay, 2004. This guy says, there will always be people who want to be challenged by opposing points of view. And as long as those points of view can still publish, the internet will make it more possible to access them with ease. Okay, you can access them with ease, but then they also predicted that people will want to be in their bubble and not hear them. So, pick one. Let's see. Here's a guy who at the time was part of Verizon Communications, said, crazy folk will find crazy folk, but the masses will use the net for their first news and will go to trusted sites for affirmation and or information that they seek. The level of political discourse should rise in proportion to the penetration of the net and the availability of trusted sources. When I read that one before, I felt like the guy was predicting that people were going to be like pickier about their news and really want to find trusted sources, and I don't feel like we've gone in that direction. Let's see, there's a few more. We've got a few more minutes. I'll try to find a couple of other good quotes. And let's see, this is healthcare, personal entertainment. Everybody thought streaming was going to be big. Well, good for them. I love this one. The Verizon guy says, after a hard day's work, most of us want to sit and watch or listen to our devices, not interact with them. Well, that was pre-smartphone, so, we can't totally blame him for not seeing that coming. And it seems that these people were predicting some sort of renaissance, that the internet was going to usher in some giant age of creativity. I think it has and it hasn't, but I don't know. Let's see. Someone said, I did not expect that porn and objectionable content would have as large an impact as it has on so many. Here's someone in 2004 saying, politics still sucks. America's getting more totalitarian even as the populace is dancing in the streets to downloaded music. Somebody else says, we forgot to build the internet with enough security. Someone says, bland content from large media companies dominates too much. They're hoping there will be content from a wide range of sources. Well, there is now. Someone was looking back on before 2004, and someone said, I have slides from a talk that I did in 1992. We were not sure that the web would win out over competitors such as WAIS, Archie, or Gopher. The transformation of the telephone industry went faster than I thought. Email was expected. The web took us by surprise. Here's a guy in 2004 who said, I don't subscribe to a newspaper anymore. I don't shop at retail stores nearly as often, or the bank. I don't buy reference books or go to the library. I don't use the phone as much. 2004. Wow. Oh no. Oh, this is so dated. I love it. Okay. I'm going to have to explain some of these old terms if you guys remember any of these. One person wrote, converged devices are a dream. I would love to have one phone or PDA that can get 2 to 4 lines, meaning phone lines, do email, GPRS and real time, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, instant message, and video, and fits in my shirt pocket and does not cost more than $300. Sir, we are there. We've been there for a while, but we're there. $300 if you don't mind an Android phone. And I love Android phones. Here's somebody who says, my dream application is a fail-safe, user-controlled, user-friendly privacy screen that would allow people to reap all the benefits of cyberspace with none of the personal risks. What I'm most anxious to see is genuine conversation between geeks and newbies. Many people who could reap great benefits from the internet are hampered by the jargon barrier and other language barriers such as reading level and lack of facility in English. My dream situation will occur when beta testing routinely requires that any intelligent adult be able to use the product or application competently without a geek in the family or a lengthy interaction with tech support. I think that's a perfect place to end because that's where UX comes in and saves the day. Whoa, what a ride! What a trip down memory lane. I mean, wow, we are really talking about some old stuff there. 2004. No smartphones. MySpace. Stuff from another era. Wow. And a little bit tough to think about some of the things people predicted or had hopes for that really didn't turn out that way. So anyway, thanks so much for taking a little journey with me. Again, please remember to subscribe on YouTube, ring the bell so you know when I'm live. I go live usually 3 or 4 times a week. Join the Slack channel for chat and help. We've got over 200 people there, but it's still pretty quiet. deltacx.link, URL shortener, /join Slack. And of course, if you like the videos, please go to YouTube and press like on them so that YouTube will know, because algorithms matter. So quick programming note. Let's see. Let me press the right button now. There we go. Tomorrow we're doing a live stream where we're going to brainstorm what we wish HR recruiters and hiring managers understood about UX and our jobs. How can we make our jobs better if we could train these people? I'm working on training now, and I want to make sure I collect your ideas on what that training should include. So join tomorrow, 6:30 p.m. Italy time, adjust for where you live, for a live brainstorming session in Mural. You don't need a Mural account. I'll supply a link that will let you get in anonymously, and you won't need a Mural account. Elijah says, I just started reading Design of Everyday Things, and that quote sums it up. Yeah, what if? So thanks for everybody joining on this ride, and I'll give you a quick programming note of some of the podcasts that are coming up next week that you can hopefully mark your calendars for. Again, they're always 6:30 p.m. Italy time. Monday is going to be Applying Technique and Critical Thinking to UX Research with our good friend Michelle Ronson from Curiosity Tank. Tuesday, of course, is Office Hours Ask Me Anything. Wednesday, really mark your calendars for this one. Our super friend Dr. Seth Finkel will be back to talk about recognizing gaslighting and when you're being set up to fail at your job. And then continuing Self-Help Week, on Thursday we'll be meeting Dr. Ruth Diaz, who will tell us how to improve our resilience. So that's what's cooking next week. I look forward to seeing everybody in the YouTube and LinkedIn chat rooms for the live stuff. As always, you can catch all of these podcasts in the podcasts playlist on the Delta CX YouTube channel. And then they're also available the next day as audio only on iTunes, Spotify, and Google Play. So if you know friends who are looking for UX and CX podcasts, you can certainly send them Delta CX either on those or on YouTube. And so with that, I'm going to play us out of here and say good night to everybody. Good night from Italy. Please be safe and well, and catch everybody soon.
Thanks for watching. Delta CX is available for consulting and projects related to CX and UX strategy, leadership, training, problem finding, problem solving, and innovation. Learn more at deltacx.com.